So, because I want us to sort of start off at the same place in terms of how things are defined, I don't mean how I necessarily define them, but in terms of, research or academics or just general conversation happening out in the world, I think it's important for us to just start by defining white privilege, because that inevitably does come up when we talk about white fragility. So we're going to look at a few definitions. The first one is, excuse me, this is actually from sorry, I just lost my train of thought, I apologize. You can see where it's from, The Social Construction of Whiteness in Women, and it reads, white privilege is a set of advantages and or immunities that white people benefit from on a daily basis, beyond those common to all others. Another, from Frances Kendall, says white privilege is an institutional rather than personal set of benefits, granted to those of us who by race resemble the people who hold the power positions in our institutions. One of the primary privileges is having great access to power and resources that people of color do. In other words, purely on the basis of our skin color, doors are open to us that are not open to other people. And lastly, from James Baldwin, being white means never having to think about it. So now that we have a sense of definition around white privilege, let's talk a little bit about white fragility, which is why we're all here. I've got a couple of definitions for you. This is from Robin DiAngelo, who I mentioned earlier, who's done a lot of work around this subject. And she says, white fragility is a state in which even a minimum amount of racial stress becomes intolerable, triggering a range of defensive moves. These moves include the outward display of emotions, such as anger, fear, and guilt, and behaviors such as argumentation, silence, and leaving the stress-inducing situation. These behaviors in turn function to reinstate white racial equilibrium. Courtney E. Martin did another nice definition. She blogs about a lot of really nice things, and I thought this was really nice because it's a little less academic, but says some important stuff. She says, white fragility is at its essence gut-level pushback. It's like the fight or flight response of white people who want to believe that they, and the world by extension, are less racially divisive than they really are. It's when you feel like the wind has been knocked out of you, when a person of color points out something you've said, seems rooted in a privileged experience of the world. It's when you desperately want to defend why a well-intentioned institution that you're a part of isn't really racist. It's when you evade talking about certain parts of who you are for fear that it will make you vulnerable for critique from people of color. I know when I read that definition, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally see myself there. Like I was going through this Melinda timeline, right? Maybe the 12-year-old Melinda, or the 25-year-old Melinda, through my own evolution, right? Because we make mistakes. Even with our best intentions, we make mistakes. And I just really love that, because I did feel it. I felt it in my gut when I was reading it. I was like, yeah, I've done that too. Okay.